my name is Aksik, aka Annika, and today we are going through the pages I did in January 2025. The thing about it is, this is also not really representative of how many pages I usually have, because for some mysterious reason, this January was super productive for me. And usually I would have 8 to 10, maybe maximum 12 pages. I think I'm close to 20 here, so prepare yourselves for a long video. So let's get this desk a bit more tidy and kick off with the first page of the year, which traditionally meaning I've done it now 2 years in a row, is Goddess Fortuna. This book is stunning. I do not remember who was the author. I think it's Ji, but I probably am butchering this name horribly. I do not read or know Korean pronunciations at all. But the book's name is Soul Goddess. I got it from Aladdin. The paper is amazing and the art is gorgeous. I would like to do so many pages here, but you know, we'll get to them eventually. Beautiful portraits, but it did have Fortuna, which is here, and I absolutely love this page. I'm kind of, usually you have several niggles, but I'm kind of happy with how it came out. And the funny part is, I thought at first I had totally messed it up, because first thing I did, because it's a pretty big book and there's a lot of surfaces, so I thought, oh, I'll try watercolors. And of course I went for her face first, and I put watercolor base down, which you can't really see now anymore. And then I discovered that this paper, although great for pencils, does not like watercolor. It just sinks through immediately. It does not let to do any blending unless you get it totally wet and just basically soak it through and then kind of try to spread the color around a bit, which I had to do because otherwise this face would have been totally ruined. But I let it dry and then put pencils on top, and kind of happy how it came out. So I did her face. Face is based with watercolor. The rest of it was some alcohol markers, some water-based markers. With water-based markers, I put several colors down and then dropped water onto them to get this kind of interesting patterning. I wanted something that would look a bit like blended or aged. So I thought kind of, just dropping water drops into the water-based markers gives kind of cool results. Of course, you can see it from the back of the page as well. It goes totally through and you can see how it's spread here. This is, I think, Arctic's black acrylic marker. This was fairly dark alcohol marker, and then I went on top with lighter colors of luminance and Fortuna macaroon pencils. I have the 50 set just constantly on my desk. I use them with pretty much most of my other sets. I find them really handy. They're lovely pencils. If you need good pastel pencils, they're super cheap, very soft, blend beautifully with other pencils. Don't need to spend a fortune. I do understand that a lot of people have issues with them being kind of rip-offs of Holbein pastels, but I do not want to pay what Holbein's cost. They're a bit rough. So yeah, I was very happy with this page. And then on the Horn of Plenty, I think it's called, I actually used some of my determined light fasts as well, because I find they have wonderful colors, wonderful tones for coloring, kind of a gold, darker, deeper golds. Beautiful pencils. pretty much my favorites, I think, of all the pencils. Anyway, this is one of the pages I was very happy with, and maybe, I don't know now, I haven't seen any other Fortuna pages, so I don't know what I'm going to do next year. Gotta find another page with Fortuna. Next, we have some small books. This is one of my close to my heart books, because I grew up with Tove Jansson's Moomin books. They were one of my favorite books of my childhood, and I always imagined, this was my formula pretty much. This was what family was supposed to be. This kindness and unconditional love, and there's no huge tensions or nothing big happening. It's lovely, very humane stories that promote empathy and kindness and understanding each other. Anyways, I did this spread this month. I don't work in this book super often, but I try to do it once in a while. So this is the very mixed media. So the leaves here these are all acrylic markers, just different layers of different colors tossed down. So the berries, there's some water-based marker here. These are also acrylic markers plus some sparkly gel pen. Hemel is done with, I think, Marie's pencils, but I can also see some gel pen here. And Moomin's and the clouds are done with acrylic markers, just acrylic markers, and I think a little bit of gel pen here in the eyes and in the hair. That's it. It's a simple enough page, but I think it came out nice. And as I said, really like this book. And what has happened here with all the blue is that I lost the cap of one of my water-based markers. So I was trying to put down blue everywhere. So I wouldn't, once it dries up, I haven't wasted all the color. Like sometimes, yeah, I get weird. Yeah, this is one of the pages, spreads I've done here before. It's a really cute book. Then this one is, I don't do them too often, okay, but once in a while when I just don't feel like anything and I'm tired and I don't want to, think at all, then Hollow by Numbers. Here we go. This is just, I think it's acrylic gouache, done with one layer. The color choices, I think I went a bit wrong in a couple of places, but it's all right. And it was very relaxing, kind of mindless. Then there's this book. Now, this is new in my collection. It actually came to me in January. And I love Jane Austen's books. A lot of us do, I imagine. This has lovely art. Somehow slightly reminds me of the art in Bridgerton official coloring book. Probably wrong, but something about it kind of reminds me of the art there. The paper is fantastic. It's really thick, bright white, and very smooth. So I would suggest, if you had that book or if you got that book, that you use soft pencil, because I didn't and I should have probably. Now this one is just some granulating watercolors. Do not remember, possibly Roman Schmal, and gel pens and tiny bit of pencil shading here. But mostly it's just gel pens, acrylic marker, and a lot of sparkly stuff. I presume you can see the sparkly stuff. It was just maybe max a couple of hours less. Just very quick. I just wanted to throw some color down, and that's what I did. I think I did use some salt here as well. I was experimenting with salt. Didn't work very well on this paper, but it's a lesson. And then there's, oh, this is just the way I put some base down. I probably will do that with gel pens and acrylic markers when I feel like it. And this, I imagine that's Caroline Bingley from Pride and Prejudice, because it seems to be in the section that has all the Pride and Prejudice images in it. It's Ball in Netherfields, Mr. Darcy, Elizabeth, I think. So I think this is Caroline Bingley. So I did her in kind of a bright and slightly garish tones and slightly clashing. But I used Marie's pencils, and that's only pencils. I think this tiny bit of gel pen here in some places, kind of gold, but not much. It's like minuscule amount. It's purely pencil work. And you can see how smooth the paper is. Like there's not much grabbing, you know, going on here. I think it came out all right. It's probably hard to see in the video. Pretty interesting gradient here, but probably doesn't show in the video very well. Yeah, it's a cute book. Quick pages when you feel like it. And this is, I think it's the book where I officially have the most pages. Because it's Bull de Pool by Diane Dufour. And it is such an easy, cute, and relaxing book to cover. It is full of loads of completed pages, loads of whips, because I just often put some color down and then eventually go back and finish it off with pencils. Like this one just needs to do some pencil work and it'll be done. But yeah, there's a lot of, comparatively, because usually my books are anything but, you know, like this, but this one has loads. You know, this one needs to be finished up, you know, just a lot of, this one needs to be finished. This one I think is finished. The pages I did this month are these two. So both of them were mainly Neocolor. Here everything is the background, herself, everything is done with Neocolors. Then I think I put some Marco Renoir pencils on top. And that's it. That's all. And then the reason there's so many kind of like blurry white blotches is because I had some bleed through when I was working with Neocolors, fairly wet. The green from this page came through, so I had green blotches in the sky. So I took some white Neocolor to just dry. I blended it onto here. Now it kind of masks the green. You can kind of see slightly here, but you know, it's better than it was before. And then there's Stickles gel. It's not Stickles in a little bottle, it's in a little jar. You kind of put it on with a spatula and it's super sparkly. It's cute. Yeah, I like how it came out. And this one was the monthly Bull de Pool challenge on Instagram. They usually give you a page, and this was the page they chose for January. So I did it. They were kind of like weird, like these are mountains, and for some reason behind them was what looked like hills, which were mysteriously higher than mountains. It just didn't make sense. It didn't work, so I just painted them out with acrylic paint and left the mountains in the background. Everything else is Neocolors, and then tiny bit of pencils on the bare, minuscule once again. It's Marco Renoir again, and it's really small amount of pencils. Tiny bit here, tiny bit on the bears, and then loads of Stickles gel, because it has to be sparkly. This is a new book for me, Mythographic Undead Academy by Alessandra Fusi. I don't think I've ever colored anything in Mythogorias before. I'd admired them, but somehow I don't get around to them, or I don't like the paper much, because for some mysterious reason the paper in Mythogoria books is much thinner and much nastier than the one in Mythographic. Don't get me wrong, it's still better than a lot of other books, and you know, it's way better than Amazon paper, for example. But Mythographic latest books have had really nice paper, and this one doesn't really compare. Anyways, this is the page I did this month. Kind of, I was testing out the paper and how things would work here, plus I was kind of trying to figure out how to color Alessandra Fusi pages. So I did the base with the light wash of gouache, and I was sorry for it because the pencil did not go very well on gouache. I had to work quite hard to get the layers down. This is, I think, all Colleen pencils on top of gouache mostly. I think the faces were the only things that had alcohol marker base. Everything else was gouache. And then here in the middle was this weird filigree thing that looked kind of like she had antenna growing out of her head. First I was kind of trying to do something with it, and then I got sick of it, and I just took acrylic marker and covered it up and put some stars on top, and I think it looks better than it did before. Genuinely, I think it looks more cohesive and nicer, and you know, this distracting filigree thing that didn't have any purpose, and there wasn't anything except just filigree yolk, was just distracting from the main composition here. So I like it better this way. Yeah, there's some fine liners here, obviously, because of, you know, her detailing is so itsy bitsy teeny weeny that there's nothing else that you can really use that would get in there. So the shading is done here with pencils and then fine liners to give some depth and definition. And other than that, it was simple enough page, and it didn't take very long. So, well, I like the art in this book, except, yeah, there's a lot of, like this crown. I love this page, but I was looking at it, oh, I'd love to do that. And then I looked at this crown. Look at that. What am I going to do with it? I don't know. Still would love to do it. It's a cool page. What should we do next? Maybe one of my only PDF pages I did in January, which is Morgan O'Brien's Any Day, or Any Day. It's the winter book. I don't remember exactly the name. It might have been something like Any Day Winter Tale or Winter Days. So sorry if I got it wrong. Well, basically, it's a very simple page. It's a base of alcohol markers and then Pablo pencils on top and some acrylic marker, you know, the snow here. I didn't do much covering of the lines or anything. Used a tiny bit of sparkle gel pen here in the buckle of the reindeer. That's it. That's all. It's a simple enough page, but I think it came out cute. Then one of the next pages is in this book by Francois Gautier. He is mostly known for his kind of a horror art, I think. And this is very different and fairly unique. Well, unique. It's essentially grayscale with kind of a dimensional shading already provided in the book. And technically, you could just put alcohol markers or water-based markers on top of it, and you have the shading already there. And it does look okay, but I always want to go in with the pencil afterwards as well, because the grey will show through. The page I did was this one, like this Night Temple, which I think it came out alright. It's alcohol markers, mostly Ohuhu and Arctics. And then, oh, I think it's Marie's pencils on top. And tiny bit of, very little of acrylic marker, I think, here in the flames, and possibly, you know, here in these bits as well, just to put tiny highlights onto those vines, which I kind of lost when I was coloring it. Simple page, nothing special. Came out alright. Oh, done worse. Oh, next book. This is now my project book, and so Morgan O'Brien's Any Day, the original one, the one that was published first. And we had this project going on Instagram. We tried to finish it last year, that, you know, I would do it within a year, and of course that did not work out great for me, although I have done many pages in it. I think it's possibly next to Bull the Pool, the book that I have most pages in. It's just, there was no way that I was going to finish it. It just stresses me out if I have to kind of push through coloring like that. It feels like working then, and, you know, kind of defeats the purpose of having a hobby if you have to kind of get stressed about it. So no, I didn't get through it, but I have been coloring it most months. So in January I did this Rainfall, because, you know, it's winter in Ireland, and what is winter? It's just a bit colder rain. We don't really get proper winter, or what I grew up in country where winter is meant, you know, thick snow all over the place, and you don't get it here. You don't really have seasons, at least the way I understand them. It's very, very mild, but fairly moderate also. Like, so this is just a very, very simple page. I think those are Colleen pencils. The base is just alcohol marker, good base for everything. I think it's Ohuhu, and yeah, I think it's Ohuhu and possibly Arctics, alcohol markers, then pencils on top, and then acrylic marker just to do the rain. Then acrylic paint. I kind of don't like to leave the background white. I prefer to have some color, or, you know, something to set it off or frame the image, especially in this book, because I think those pages are so simple. I want to kind of give them a bit more boost. Anyway, I think it came out all right. It's pretty cute, and I like Any Day. Like, the reasons I'm coloring her, it's cute pages in this book. I should do a kind of a progress video in this book soon. Now, this is a book I actually got recently enough. It was end of last year. It's a beautiful book, kind of one of those surprise books that nobody's really talking much about. It's Angelica Schulte, I think is the pronunciation here. It's published in Germany by Top. There's many books they are publishing, and, you know, most colorists would know of that publisher. And it is a beautiful book. It's lovely. It's stitch bound, beautiful thick paper. It's really thick, very smooth, very good for markers. Like, I think it's actually meant to be, and I also like that the line art is kind of light, so you don't have to work much covering it if you are the sort of person that I am and like the line art sometimes knocked back. You can see that I've been putting down in quite a few flesh tones, flesh base for the skin. And the page I did, or pages kind of, that I did in January, or this one, this Harlequin. And that was actually very funny because I was testing here. The main reason I like doing it is I didn't even look much, what page I was taking. I started coloring random face with the Rogitans because I had gotten Rogitan pencils quite recently also, and I was testing them out on different papers and different things, and I started doing Rogitan skin, which was coming out great, but then suddenly it started blotching and doing weird things in certain spots, and I kept wondering what was going on, and is there something wrong with the paper? Did I really go wrong, or is there something wrong with Rogitan pencils? And after I was finished, only then did I flip the page and realize that I was coloring on top of stickles. So I had done this image in December, and not once did I realize what I was doing, which is kind of funny, but also kind of stupid. So her face is done with Rogitans. And this is Kuratake Starry Colors, I think, is that set. Kuratake Gold watercolor. This is acrylic marker. The yellow background is Simtap. Simtap markers are, I'm sure you know about them. They're Artex markers that are acrylic brush marker, and you have this valve at the top you can press to release more paint. They're great. They're fairly opaque, and I like them for backgrounds or big areas like this. Then the rest of her was done with some, it was a quick alcohol marker base, if I remember correctly. And then I went on top with a little bit of luminance pencils, kind of give it a quick shading. And then some acrylic markers, some gel pen, it seems to be here, I think. Yeah, on the bird here. And that's it. And then I also, since I was testing Rogitans, I did this little tiny rose with the Rogitan pencils. That's it. Just pure Rogitans, nothing else. And you can see how light the line art is. I was able to just, by coloring with pencils, get rid of all of the outline. There's nothing masked there. It's just pencils. And I kind of love it. So I can see myself coloring in this book quite a bit in the future. And the art is cute. They're nice girls. Oh, I put down some neons here. I have this habit of just tossing down colors as I go. So technically there's loads of whips in this book, but not really. It only becomes whip when I actually start working on it. Now, next one. Okay, this, I still don't know if it was a mistake or not. I have been admiring that book in many other people's videos. It's Mai Zhang's Magic Greenland. And it's nowhere now available anymore. And then it suddenly became available on Amazon US. And since our relatives were coming to Ireland anyway, I just ordered it and had them to bring it over. And yes, it's beautiful. It's interesting. It's quirky. I just need to figure out how to work in it because I still haven't gotten how to go about it. The first page I tried here, which is this one, it's all right, it's not terrible. It's all sparkly and shiny. It's just, I haven't found my way. I'm not particularly happy with what I did. I'm not mad about it either, but you know, you have higher expectations than the book actually provides for. I guess that's what the problem is here. So I'll try again. Maybe with some different approach, maybe with more limited palette, and maybe we'll start getting along better. One can only hope. But yeah, I'm not, and also everything goes through, it seems, on this paper. So if I do something in the future with that sort of materials, I probably should put down satin glaze or something so it wouldn't get so messy. Now, next one. Color Me Capybaras. This is an awesome book. It's just the whole book full of the cutest capybaras. What was the author's name again? I did, yeah, that was the Ella Jazabek. Oh, I do not, I'm probably doing a horrible job of pronouncing that. It is a wonderful book. The paper has its challenges. It doesn't really like water, so you can see I've tried, I think it was my first page in this book I did. And you can see I've tried water and everything is wrinkly and buckling. So it doesn't like water particularly. But I have learned, you know, how to use some wet media on it. And the page I did this month was a winter page because it's just the cutest. I just love the capybaras. I love how she draws capybaras. I love the humor in these pages. I'm just in love with this book. I have several pages here and I can see myself doing more and more of them because I enjoy this book so much. It's mostly alcohol markers. The main work has been done with alcohol markers. Then I added some Fortuna macaroon and I think some Colleen pencils here with the darker and more vibrant areas. I think I used some Colleen pencils here as well. But most of the kind of, I just strengthened the colors of the snow with Fortuna macaroons. And then I used a lot of Posca, and I used the bigger Posca. This is the 5M. So with those big chunky snowflakes, it's much easier to just tap the big Posca. And then I used smaller or thinner white acrylic marker to cover up the lines of the snow. And then there's some gel pens here, you can see. It's just, I love the art in this book. It is so cute. I have another winter page here, so if I can get to it in February, I might. I'm not sure if I will, but because I don't seem to be going as successfully in February as I was in January. It's kind of slow going. But I would really like to do it. It's so fun. There's so many cute, cool ones. Like, look at this. Every page is so much fun. Yeah, there's some whips here, which I need to get to eventually. That's his finished page. Yeah, love this book. We'll be coloring much more in that one. Now, oh, it's not too many left now. So this is Mythographic Shangri-La. And it's a beautiful book. It genuinely is. It's, the author here is Alessandra Fusi. And she's super talented. And her artwork is gorgeous. But there's, like, some images don't look like they are super detailed, but then when you actually go in, you realize that they're itsy bitsy, teeny weeny. The detailing is just so small that you find it hard to even figure out what media to use or how. It seems to be the fine liners are the only things that can do anything here. And I did this Buddha. I mainly did it because of the snakes, you know, year of the snake starting. So I thought that looks cool. Buddha and snakes, beautiful page. So I tossed a lot of stuff onto it. So the background was done, basically I just colored it with water-based markers, put the color down roughly, and then I did the same thing. I dropped water, so it would kind of, and then let it on, and then pressed the towel onto it when it got too wet. So it kind of blend itself into those slightly blotchy, interesting tones. And then once it was dry, I kind of put a little bit of pencil in between the blotches to kind of accentuate them further, to bring them more forward. And then, oh, I think it's Colleen pencils, I think. Yes. A lot of acrylic markers, shiny ones. That's Calero. Metallic watercolor here. Those are acrylic markers. Acrylic metallic markers. I think it's these ones, the super golden, and then the thicker ones, which are better for doing that sort of in a thicker line. And yeah, it seems to be a lot of white acrylic marker as well here. Yeah, it took a while. And then, you know, look at these little tiny details. There's no pencil will go there, so it's mostly just done with fine liners and then highlighted with gel pens. And it doesn't look bad, but you know, it's very fiddly to work in. There's so many pages that at first glance I go, oh, I'd love to do that, and then I look, oh my god, you know, what am I going to do with all that? You know, so many black line as well, you know, tiny details, and so much black because of all the tiny detailing. I love this page. I'd like to figure out how to do this. But look again, like this foliage here. How do you even color it? It's so small. Itsy bitsy. Yeah, it's a beautiful book. I will try to work in it again. That's one of my favorite pages, but even this one has all those like little filigree things that, oh, I would have loved if they were a bit bigger or a bit more solid, because they're going to be a challenge again. Anyway, beautiful book, but very challenging, at least for me. And then I fell in love with this book. It is such, for the longest time, I could not do anything remotely doodly. Like, this art is fairly doodly, fairly abstract, and I was really struggling with figuring out how to deal with that. Oh, I didn't even realize that I had done this one as well. It's just random watercolor. Not even, nothing is worked over there, just some watercolor put down. Probably testing the paper, which I don't remember. What did the paper do? I went through a little bit. It does, like, if you use a lot of water in this book, it will go through. And even juicier water-based markers will go through. You can see I've been working with paints here. Everything is stuck together. But I just love her art. I saw that book first on Maya's channel, colored by Maya, I think is the channel name. And she is fantastically talented. And I fell in love with many books on her channel, and she kind of gave me inspiration to try you know, more of this kind of like more abstract, more doodly artworks as well for coloring. And I love them, of course. So I did 2 spreads in it. First one is that, which, yeah, it wasn't properly opened, so I have this empty ditch here, but never mind that. It's all acrylic washes and then acrylic markers on top, essentially. And then I have some sparkly stuff on the roofs here and on the snow. It's very hard to read because of the way I should have probably chosen darker markers for the quote. Is it snowing where you are? But I still love it. It's beautiful. It's different. It's very enjoyable to just sit and quietly color. And the second spread is that one. And it's once again just acrylic washes underneath. And then acrylic markers on top. And then some gel pens. That's it. All very simple. All very easy. I think there's a tiny bit of pencil on the deer as well. I do not remember what pencil it was. I think I might have put, no, it's all acrylic markers here, no pencil. Nothing, no pencils here, but there is some on the deer. Nowhere else. And I think it's very cute. And simple. And then the last book for this month was this one. It is a beautiful book, and I did not have a single page on it. It had sat on my shelf for over a year. I had bought it in the edition I wanted. I know that Hannah Carterson does not like that edition because they kind of interrupted the flow of the book by trying to make most of the pages one-sided. But I kind of love it for coloring purposes, so I got this version. It's, I think it's Moose. Yeah, it's Moose Publishing House. The paper is, of course, amazing, as Moose paper is. And I did the spread. So I went in with the background first, which was both our White Knights watercolor, and I did a really wet wash, and then as it was still shiny, I dropped some salt onto it and let it dry overnight, and then I brushed the salt off so you get those cool textures at the back. Especially here, it worked better than here, but it also needed to be stronger here because I wanted this kind of ice crystal-y look, because you know, she's all in cool tones and nighttime, and it came out well. Pretty happy with how it came out. And then I colored her. Pretty sure that she was mostly done with Colleen and Prismacolors. The face is definitely Prismacolors, and I think the clothes might be Colleen pencils. And then there's dimensional, those are like dimensional pearls. It's like this gel, dimensional gel. You can, it's like stickles, only it's like pearls. So you can squeeze it on and it stays dimensional, which of course makes coloring other pages nearby a bit of a challenge. But you know, as long as you put loads of paper between pages, it should be possible. Yeah, there's loads of gel pen, stickles, different colors of stickles. There's acrylic pens. Yeah, she came out lovely. And then I did the sun as well. And she was done, pretty sure, mostly with, I think for her as a base, I used alcohol markers because her page was single-sided. But for her, for the base, I think if I did paste at all, I did it with a water-based marker. But for her, I did it with alcohol marker. And then Colleen pencils on top, and then loads of acrylic marker, and good bit of stickles. It's sparkly as hell. Look at that. Everything is shiny. And then because when I was doing, I don't even remember what part exactly, but something went through when I was coloring this page. And I didn't want to leave it like that. So I just took out my trusty acrylic markers. Did the base here with Simtap. Simtap, I think it's this color. Simtap J508. That's the marker I did the base with. And then the rest of it is pretty much 90%, maybe even 95%, just acrylic markers, blended out with acrylic markers. So pure acrylic marker work. Of course, they're mostly brush acrylic markers, but these went done with the brush markers. They were just regular acrylic markers. And then I think tiny bits of pencil here and here and maybe here. Don't remember which ones, possibly Marie's, because they might have been on my desk open. And then I used gel pens, acrylic, or was it acrylic? Acrylic metallic marker, I'm not sure, one of these. I made those dots. But before that, of course, I put down oil pastel in the corners to give it a bit more depth in the corners here. And then I put satin glazing on top to kind of seal it, and then did those dots, and then put stickles all over the place, and then the clear glaze, Sakura clear glaze, couple of coats onto the ladybug. It looks really lovely and shiny. And I think it came out all right. It's a lovely and bright page. And, you know, just to mask. And it was fast enough, and it masked really well any bleed throughs I had from here. So, like you can see, everything can be fixed. Even if you get bleed throughs, even if things go a bit messy. No problem. You can just fix it. So that's it for today. Thank you all for watching. If you stayed with me for so long, kudos to you. Much respect. Thank you. And hopefully we'll see each other again. If you like my videos, feel free to like and subscribe. And until next time.